Hi, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Hi, hi, Lori. Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. Starting just a couple of minutes late since we were having some technical issues. Welcome to the July 21st regular board meeting of the Lynn Benton Lincoln Education Service District Board of Directors. At the beginning here, I'm going to announce a correction to the agenda. I'd like to note an adjustment to the agenda. Please remove the first section F for information only from your agenda. There should be only one section F, important dates included. Sorry for the duplication. So just wanted to clear that up at the very beginning. Go ahead and start with introductions. Lisa, if you want to start, and then in the room, we'll just work our way around the table. And then Lori, and then Alex, you can introduce yourself online.
Lisa Shane, Executive Assistant, outgoing. Dina Quill, Executive Assistant, incoming.
Christina Wonderly, Executive Director of Human Resources.
Bob Ware, Executive Financial Officer.
Miriam Cummins, she, her, ella, Board Director for Zone 6.
Amy Vetter, she, her, Board Director for Zone 5.
Jason Hayes, Superintendent.
Denise Hughes Tappan, Board of Director for Zone 4.
Bill Hayes, Director for Zone 1.
Eddie Symington, Board of Directors, Zone 7.
Michael Thompson, Board of Directors, Zone 3.
Tim Jones, Executive IT Officer.
Tyler Bass, Cybersecurity Technician.
Online, Alex, if you want to lead, and then Lori.
Hello, everyone. Alex Nalavanko, Principal of Long-Term Care and Treatment Programs.
Lori Greenfield, Board Director, Zone 2.
All right, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we all stand up, we where I go.
They were shampooing the carpets.
Yeah, it must have gotten tucked away somewhere.
See. All right, so next up is monthly acknowledgements.
Yeah, so you'll see in our on page 5 of your packet to the monthly acknowledgement for July. And just trying to do something a little bit different until I get a chance to get our equity committee together to talk through these a little bit. But working on just giving a couple of historical stories here and there that are just kind of interesting. And so in October 6th of 1990, just months after the American with Disabilities Act was signed into law, more than 400 people marched, drove, wheeled, and moved from Boston City Hall to Boston Common, and it was the first Disability Pride Day. And just kind of interesting to see how there's so many different things that we have events and whatnot, and where they come from. And so I thought that was just kind of an interesting story. So I spent some time poking around the internet, looking at that. We also have July has a few other observances that are worth noting. It's BIPOC Mental Health Awareness Month. For that, and it's actually named in honor of Phoebe Moore Campbell. And then World Youth Skills Day actually was just a few days ago, July 15th, and Nelson Mandela Day also just a couple of days ago on July 18th. So yeah, that's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Any public comments?
No.
Okay. All right, next before us, we have the board operating agreements. We discussed this at our last work session in depth, and we made some change. So we have 2 copies in front of us. We have the one with the red line changes that we made, and then a clean copy. So we can discuss if we have any more comments or questions. This is the time to discuss, and then when we're ready, if we feel like we should do so, we can adopt it.
I have a question. This is a technology thing. I am not seeing one with the red line like the way they usually show edits. Should I be seeing one of the board operating agreements that has edits in it?
Lori, I sent a revised email to you after that. It actually went to the full board, so check for an update to that email.
I see, yes, but when I open it, there's no red lines, but that is okay. I was really happy with where we went last time, and so
Sorry about that. It seems like we're having some sort of a technical snafu. But as long as you're comfortable, I mean, we're
Yes.
all part of the discussion.
yes.
Is that, Lori, is that for the very last one that was sent out? Because there were two
Yeah.
emails.
If you look at the second email, the
It's-
second email that Dina
Yeah.
sent today, she sent two emails today. The first
At
one,
at 3:24?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
oh, okay.
It's odd.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it does not have the red. On the phone either. So on the phone it doesn't, but on the.
yeah.
And so, I mean, I probably could open it on the laptop, but that is okay because I was really happy with where we went with it.
Okay,
Okay.
that is interesting that it's different on
Yeah.
the phone versus. Yeah.
That's strange.
Okay.
Well, I think Vince did a wonderful job in capturing the suggestions that we made. I think it really incorporates now and shows, our message and what we wanted to, have in our agreement. I feel a lot more comfortable with these add-ons and suggestions and edits, so, I do appreciate Vince taking the time and doing this for us.
I had a question. We had to do something about with, hearing all voices when possible or something like that. Does anyone remember what that was? Someone written it.
Second to last page. Second bullet point, last part of that sentence, I just caught it. I don't know if that's the one, the area you're talking, we intentionally make space for voices that are less heard, including students and family experiences where possible.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is about that sentence. I guess I wondered, would there be a time where it shouldn't happen or where it wouldn't be possible? Like, is there ever a time when we just can't make space for those voices?
I think the example that led that edit or that change, Director Cummins brought up executive sessions. There are some opportunities where we just,
Yeah.
I think that's what sparked that, if I remember right.
Okay. Okay, that was my only question.
And I can entertain a motion whenever we're feeling ready.
I move to adopt the board operating agreement.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt the board operating agreement. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say no. All right, we have unanimously adopted the board operating agreement. And since it is unanimously adopted now, I'm gonna go ahead and read the meeting norms. Just as a reminder, that this is how we have chosen to meet together. So meeting norms intend to be referenced at the beginning of meetings throughout the year. Listen to understand. We stay curious, assume good intent, and name impact without assigning motives. We share the air. We make space accessible for every voice, and the chair actively invites quieter or lesser heard perspectives. 3, respect people, challenge ideas. We critique ideas and decisions, not people, and keep our verbal tone and nonverbal communication respectful, even in disagreement. Number 4, center students, families, and services. We connect our work to the people we serve and return to purpose when conversations get reactive. Number 5, pause when needed. Any member or the chair may call a pause to de-escalate, clarify confusion, and choose a productive next step. And number 6, unified and not uniform. We aim for consensus when possible and can move forward respectfully when full agreement isn't attainable. Okay. Moving on from there and leading on from our conversation that we had during our work session last week. The matter before us now is to elect a board chairperson for 2026, 2027, and then at the beginning, I just wanted to clarify, there's a difference between nomination and a motion to nominate. For a nomination, discussion can continue after that, and more than one person can be nominated at a time. For an actual motion to nominate, that triggers, and that's an actual motion on the floor. And so that triggers immediate board action on that specific motion. So I just wanted to clarify that nominating on its own is not automatically a motion. Slight nuance difference, but nominating on its own slightly different, not nominating and making a motion is different, so.
So,
So I do want to make a statement, since we did discuss this last week on our board work session. On how I feel, again, this is my personal opinion. And so what I'm going to share is from me, okay? And so I typed it all up because I want to make sure I addressed what I wanted to say. I appreciate that we're taking the time to discuss our leadership process, because I think it's important that we periodically evaluate whether our governance practices continue to serve the board well. After reviewing our board leadership succession guidelines, I support continuing with the succession model we've used for many years. I believe it reflects the values of fairness, transparency, leadership development, and continuity. The purpose of these guidelines was intentional. They were created to provide an orderly transition, equal opportunity for board members to serve as chair, a clear and transparent process, sustainability, and built-in flexibility. I believe those goals remain just as important today. What I value most about this process is that it creates opportunities for every board member to develop as a leader. Serving as the vice chair before chair allows members to learn the responsibilities of the role and provides continuity for the board. Leadership is not something we're born knowing how to do. It is developed through experience. I've served on other boards where leadership positions were filled solely through elections. In my experience, those systems can unintentionally result in the same individuals rotating between chair and vice chair, because people naturally vote for those they know best, or those who have previously held leadership roles. I don't believe that's anyone's intent, but it can have the effect of limiting leadership opportunities for others. I also have concerns about extending the chair position from 1 year to 2 years. While I recognize there are benefits of having the same leadership for a longer period, especially since the first year often involves a learning curve, I believe those benefits must be balanced against creating opportunities for others to serve. A 2-year term means fewer board members have the opportunity to develop those leadership skills over time, slowing the development of future leaders and reducing opportunities for others to step in those roles. As a Latina, an immigrant, and someone who has experienced systems that were not always designed with people like me in mind, I believe it is important that I share my perspective. My lived experience shapes how I view leadership and opportunity. and I believe that perspective has value in this discussion. To me, leadership development and representation go hand in hand. When we intentionally create pathways for every board member to grow into leadership, we also create opportunities for voices that have historically been underrepresented to contribute in new ways. Research has consistently shown that leadership positions at public boards and governing bodies have historically not reflected the diversity of the communities they serve. People of color, younger leaders, women, and individuals balancing significant caregiving or work responsibilities have often faced additional barriers to leadership opportunities. While our board has made meaningful progress, I believe we should be intentional about preserving governance structures that create pathways for leadership rather than unintentionally narrowing them. I can speak personally to the value of the succession model. During my nearly 8 years on this board, this process gave me the opportunity to prepare, grow, and ultimately step into a leadership role. That opportunity mattered. It wasn't based on popularity or relationships. It was based on a transparent process that gave every board member the opportunity to lead. When I look at other boards that do not have this type of succession planning, I often see leadership concentrated among the same individuals. They are capable people who want to serve, but the structure itself makes it difficult for new voices to emerge. I don't want us to unintentionally move toward that model. Finally, I believe there is value in having a leadership process that is transparent and predictable. Community members and future board members should be able to understand how leadership develops without wondering whether it depends on relationships, popularity, or informal agreements. Our succession process provides that transparency while still honoring the legal requirement that the board elect its officers each year. The board always retains the authority to vote, but the succession guidelines provide a fair, intentional, and equitable framework for that decision. For those reasons, I believe our current succession model continues to strengthen our board, develop future leaders, and uphold the values of fairness, transparency, and shared leadership to have served us well. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I've spent a lot of time thinking about the options for electing a board chair. I also had to write my things down so that I was thorough. I'd like to recognize and thank Director Cummins for her perspective and historical context on how the rotation method has worked for the board in the past. I would also like to thank Director Vetter for her thoughtful remarks on why she believes an election process is the best path forward. As Director Vetter highlighted, chairmanship is fundamentally about servanthood, sound judgment, and the capacity to do the work. While our historical rotation model was built around leadership development, moving to an annual election model allows us to evaluate leadership capacity each year while still prioritizing growth across the board. Switching to an annual vote gives our board crucial flexibility, continuity, and control. It allows us to intentionally align our leadership with the immediate needs of the agency, provides stability for our superintendent, and offers a gentler, proactive way to manage board capacity and working relationships. Ultimately, our highest responsibility here is serving the children and the families of our communities. To ensure we maintain the strongest possible leadership scenario to support that mission, I believe a traditional annual election model is the right path forward. So with that, I'd like to nominate and move that we elect Amy Vetter as the Lynn Benton Lincoln Educational Service District Board Chair for the 26-27 school year.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded to elect Amy Vetter.
I think my, I'll say.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna.
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded, so there's more discussion.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
just to get back to kind of more, that's fine.
Yes.
It's tangential too, it's connected to the motion that's before us. Director Cummins outlined and said, made a strong argument for the rotation system. Policies rooted in equity, a hallmark of them is clear and objective systems that have less possible, leaves little room for biases of various types.
And I think the rotation system in general, not even ours, or not even just us, that this board, reflects that. And I think it's not only served ESD well, it's a model for, our K-12 partners that we can point to and suggest humbly that they think about the same thing, because I've seen too many of them, as Dr. Cummins pointed out, that the same people are chair and vice chair over and over and over again. So I'm just seconding her comments that the rotation system has served well, and I would like to see it continue. Also, I do want to ask, is there an intention, so we got policy BCB in front of us, was there intention to maybe we don't have to, the first line of that is officers shall serve for at least one full year or until their respective successors begin their term. No member may serve as chair, so we're not pursuing adjusting that. That's my question. There's no, I see no sediment for adjusting that. It's.
No, I wouldn't say, as a clarification around the policy language that was put in front of you a month ago and it's in that consent agenda. No, this has nothing to do with any change of the policy.
Okay, just want to clarify that.
Yeah. So in this case, if Amy were to be voted in as chair for the second year, based on policy, this next year would be her last year to be able to be chair until somebody else served as chair, because you can't do it more than, based on policy, more than 2 successive years.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
I'm sure I'd like to speak to the motion. I'm in favor of this motion because completing my first year here, I'm seeing a year of continuity that Amy has led. And so I think that is the biggest advantage. And Director Cummins said it's this capacity for service, but we're all elected to service. And to me, the chair guides that service. And the discussion we're having with equity in mind is something that this board has put foremost and is going to continue and enhance that in the next year. So I can't believe that we wouldn't bring more scrutiny to the kind of just trading positions like I've seen in other boards too, Michael. So I speak in favor of this motion for the continuity of this next year.
Can I add more comments? Or since I started?
I would, it's the chair that is facilitating.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm going to continue the motion part, so the next part is I'm going to ask for further discussion, but I'm just gonna get through that section where I said, okay, it's been moved and seconded to elect Amy Vetter and myself for board chairperson for 2026, 2027. Any further discussion? So, yes.
Yes, so my question is, I guess what I'm worried about is not the current board. I'm worried about the future. We're all not gonna be in this position forever. And so what I wanna do is I wanna create a pathway for others to to be able to join this board. I was the only person of color for a very long time. I was the first person of color in this board, okay? And so I'm bringing in that perspective of how it felt to be the first person of color in a white board. And how my perspective, I want to be able to open that pathway for others to feel who are like me in a position of leadership. Because there aren't that many open doors for people like myself. And so that is why I like the succession plan, because it allows for people like myself who are not in these positions to gain the skills, because they can transfer those skills to their work, to their own personal lives. This is not just a board requirement or a board leadership. I've been board chair before, and this wouldn't be my first rodeo. But what I'm trying to say is, to me, I want to create a pathway for future leaders to feel that they can be successful, knowing the trajectory of what that success is going to look like. And sometimes I feel like what we want to put weight on. We want to put in that, to me, leadership development is not as important. Like, that's the question I want to ask, because to me it is important, because that is how we lead. And yeah, we all serve. That is our duty. That's why we ran for office. That's why we got appointed, some of us, some of you all. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I haven't seen other boards work this well, knowing on the succession of chair and vice chair. Because I've seen other boards that do not have that, and they have failed in representing their communities. And you can tell, and you can feel the hostility, you can feel it in those boards. And so that's why, for me, I feel very passionate about that. Because I want to create that opportunity, because I'm not gonna be a board member forever. Okay, and I wanna make sure I put that forward, so for the next person that wants to join a board, and if they're a person of color, they can be like, you know what? In 2-3 years, I can be chair, I'm gonna do everything I can to go to OSBA conferences, so I can be an effective leader for my board, in my community, in my students. That's how I see leadership.
So, Madam Chair, I wanted to add to the discussion, direct comments. I appreciate what you shared and based also on my experience in different leadership roles, it is true, many of our boards don't have people of color, and having those opportunities to be in a leadership role such as chair. Sometimes there are challenges, especially for people of color, to get to those positions. At the same time, though, I wonder about the board, the purpose of the board, and just around the function of the board in ensuring that the mission is met. So as a newbie to the board who haven't really experienced these different models of succession, one of the questions that I wonder about, so yes, I've heard the different points around why the current model works, but nothing is perfect. So I'm wondering, what are some of the limitations of our current model? Because I think if we talk about and discuss the limitations, then maybe that can move us, or maybe not, to looking at, okay, could this other model help to fill in some of the gaps of this current model? So that is my question, and that is what I am pondering in my mind as well. To those of you who have actually experienced this model, what have you seen as some of the limitations? Is that something that we can discuss?
I've been on, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you, Lori.
I've been on other boards where it's been a simple rotation, and we would have effective years, and then we would have years where leadership didn't necessarily get along, and we'd have years where someone would kind of drop the ball, and I haven't experienced the success that Director Cummins has been discussing. I've actually seen that being not developing the consistency and holding, not looking at who is prepared to lead and able to lead best. And so I actually have seen something else than success.
Absolutely. Because what I'm hearing is making sure that we are providing and supporting opportunities for leadership. The chair is one leadership position. But there are other leadership opportunities within the board as well. And so I wonder if maybe that isn't something that we should be more active in promoting, because the chair is only like one role.
I think, if I may, because I've been on the board for almost 8 years. One of the, like every governance has its limitations. All of them. No system is perfect, otherwise we would be using it. One thing that I have noticed that we have been working through is when someone is up to be chair or vice chair and they indicate, by the way, I'm not ready because of life, because of personal issues, because of any reason, they can always step down, not to take on that. So the limitation that I could see is being up for that position and not being ready. But you can't say you're not ready. And I think that's one way that removes that limitation that then allows somebody else to step in to be able to take on that leadership role. So out of my 8 years, and like I said, I've been in this board for almost 8 years. We haven't had issues. And I understand other boards, maybe that succession plan hadn't worked in the past. But at least here at LBLESD, because of the leadership of the superintendent, because of the board leadership, it has worked. It has worked in the past year. And that's what it has been done for years when David Dowry was here, everybody that was here before me. They also indicated, yes, there's some limitations, but this is one of the ways that we can prevent disagreements. We can prevent, anything that is negative. And yes, if you are not ready, you can indicate you're not ready. And you can just either move down or you can just wait 1 year and then be leader the next year. There is that flexibility. And I think that's what the succession plan allows, is for that flexibility to be able to do that. So that is the one of the limitations, like you said, that I have seen, but we have gone and persevered on that, I guess you can say. And so, but again, it goes with the board leadership. And I believe that LBLESD has done very well because of the leadership in the cabinet, and everyone that's at this table has made it work. So I guess that's my 2 cents.
Given that everyone's had the opportunity to speak, I'm gonna go ahead and just move us forward to a vote. Since we need to record the votes and there's a chance of it not being unanimous, I'm gonna add that we raise our hands when we vote this time, just to make it visually easier for them to record. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say no.
No.
Okay. It has been moved to, it has been approved to, it helps if I can talk. It has been approved to elect Amy Vetter chairperson for 2026-2027.
I did not vote.
That's good, too.
I'm actually gonna approve.
Sorry,
Thanks for catching.
She said that she was going to vote yes, and so do we have all of that information or make sure? Okay.
Make sure we're square. Okay, and then up next is electing a board vice chairperson for 2026-2027.
I would nominate Miriam to continue as vice chair. If she accepts that nomination.
I have so.
Now, that was not a motion.
No, it was a nomination, so.
That's for discussion, because, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bill nominated, and Miriam said she would accept the nomination, just to make sure that you can hear, Lori.
Can you clarify now, because I was about to nominate someone
Correct me
else.
if I'm wrong, Bill, but in terms of process, you're nominating Miriam. It could be that somebody else could nominate someone else, and we could have a vote between those 2 people. or 3 people or whatever it is. Or there could be a motion in which we would vote on that motion.
Well, I would like to.
Yeah,
I
go
would
ahead,
like to, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm done talking, I guess I'll clarify, back to the chair.
Sorry, it can get a little bit difficult with the lag between us here in the room, so apologies on that. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to move to nominate Director Symington because I'm very excited about what he brings to the board, and it feels very fresh to have someone with so much experience and knowledge. And I was going to nominate him, so I'm moving to nominate him. But I don't know whether that's what I do now that there's a nomination already up.
May I just?
Yes, please.
Okay, so just keep us on process. So you are nominating, in this case, because there's one nomination, you can put a nomination on the floor. I wouldn't say that you're moving to nominate, but you're nominating Eddie.
Okay.
Now we have 2 nominations, and there's a couple of ways that we could do this. I mean, you can see if there's any other nominations, but you could have everybody just, I would say we'd probably want to call individually for vote and people say who they would like to vote for. You also could write it down on a piece of paper. You do have to sign your name to it because and we have paper because we would need our board secretary to read it into the record either way. So either way, it has to be verbally read into the record. So those are the choices. So
Okay, now that we have 2 nominations on the floor, discussion.
Just a point of clarification. Someone has to nominate somebody else, or can someone like nominate themselves?
they could nominate themselves. Yep. Anyone can make any nomination, even themselves.
Yeah, that tends to happen less often, but it can happen.
Well, speaking to the motion, by voting in Director Cummins as vice chair, again, we basically just continued the leadership for 1 more year. And if you think leadership's done well, it kind of, we didn't really have a debate about or a change in the rotation. I don't think we've just delayed everything 1 year. And I think that's good. I can live with that. So I'm supporting Director Cummins for vice chair.
If we did the written, this is just for process, my question. If we did like the written nomination or not written vote, sort of say speak, how would we do that before being virtual? Like it would be-
Lori can either say it verbally, she also could, email or text to Dina, and Dina could read it into the room.
Okay,
Whatever Lori feels comfortable with. If you feel
I'm
more-
comfortable just speaking out.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
perfect. I just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure that we figured that out.
Yeah.
Depending on what we decide to do and how we decide to.
Yeah, certainly, if everybody feels comfortable just voting verbally, everyone is going to, because you can't do it in secret anyway, so if you feel comfortable doing it verbally, it will be faster and easier just to go around the circle and do it.
Makes sense.
So do we have to make a motion to decide?
No, you can just vote, so, if I may, you could, if there's no other discussion, my suggestion to the board at this point, since Michael started and he shared what he felt, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's basically your vote, is to vote for Miriam for the vice chair.
Yeah.
Then you could just go to Eddie and you could go.
Okay, and is it like a binding, like a motion would be since it's in?
Yep.
Okay.
It's the same. Yep.
Okay, unless there's further discussion. We'll just go around. So Michael has voted. Okay, Eddie,
I'm actually going to abstain and go with the will of the board.
And I vote for Mary, vice chair.
I vote for Miriam vice chair.
I vote for Eddie as vice chair.
I vote for myself.
I vote for Eddie.
And say again, Lori.
I vote for Eddie.
And so do we have it down? I think. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 votes for Miriam, is what I counted. Okay.
I have a question about process.
Yeah.
The part of motivation that guided me in my nominations was Amy's really strong statement that you had prepared at our work session. And I wish I had asked for that to be printed for us to have. And I think that was a great guideline because next year we're gonna be in the same position. Whether either we can convert back to the succession plan or continue the nomination process. Is that possible or? I'm not sure.
So what is it that you're asking?
The document that.
Oh. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if the board wants it, I can share it.
That would be my preference, is to have that as a working document to prepare for next year at this time. So I thought it was really well prepared for what we're taking a step. We're still sort of in a succession, sort of because we're keeping the status quo, which was my goal for continuity. But if we're going to continue nominating, electing, I really like the framework that you had put forward.
I can share that.
Just question regarding that, but just in terms of process, but each year though, we will decide on if we're gonna continue nomination or use a different.
So to clarify, each year you must vote, no matter what.
Okay.
So the debate about a succession plan or not a succession plan, you're not deciding to use a succession plan or not a succession plan in determining who is chair and vice chair. You have to do nominations or motions at a vote, no matter what. It is just a process document. And so it's one of those things that I think you could have more discussion on in terms of maybe you have consensus on that, but next year at this time, we will be in the same spot with the exception of Amy couldn't be considered as chair. Still will need to vote either way. I think in terms of process, it's important for Amy to be able to acknowledge the vote and the decision.
Just wanted to say that, so the board has elected as vice chairperson Miriam Cummins for 2026, 2027. Okay, and then moving on, and we can continue to have more discussion as the year goes forward with the succession plan, and just like Jason says, just to reiterate, it's just like the process for decision making, regardless of how we come about to, like, we can have the tradition of following a succession plan, but we don't like have an official motion to change the succession plan because it's not an official binding document. It's just kind of the way that we agreed together to do things. So just to go off of what Jason said. Okay, and so next we're moving on to the 2026-2027 organizational resolution. This is just a yearly thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a yearly resolution that we must have in place. It identifies key individuals and roles from me as your executive administrative officer, as clerk, budget officer, things like Rocco being the executive financial officer, who is our auditor, who is our legal counsel, when board meetings are held, how we give information to the community and posting our legal notices for board meetings, who our bank is, and that
That's where there's a mistake. It's not Umpqua anymore, it's Columbia.
Oh, do we have that wrong?
It is Columbia now.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you. Good catch.
So my bank is.
Very good. Yeah, it's Columbia Bank. Yeah, thank you for that catch.
Change, yeah.
And then that the LBO board performs as the contract review board for contracts and purchasing. And so what I asked the board is to adopt resolution 12627 with the correction listing Columbia Bank as our bank of record.
I so move.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt resolution 01-2627 LBL organizational resolution with the noted name change on the bank. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say no. Okay, we have unanimously approved resolution 01-2627 LBL organization resolution. And then moving on, clerk's item of business, we have the consent agenda. So if anyone has comments, questions.
Are we not gonna do board reports?
Oh, thank you. Okay, next up is board reports, because I tried to skip something. Thank you, Mary Ann.
Kind of hidden in there right before his.
Yes, sorry about that. So if any board member has anything that they want to share?
Yeah, so I do, so maybe 2 weeks or so ago, I attended the first introductory session for the, new board members. Through OSBA, just teaching, new board members the ropes. And, last Thursday, I also attended a summer school that was hosted by OSBA as well, and I attended, part of that. I didn't attend the full day. And they had some really important themes. So one looked at accountability in action and kind of the responsibility. What are the responsibility of board members, especially in terms of accountability? And some of the things that came up included like the importance of looking at data and knowing what data to ask for and being able to interpret the data. They also spoke about the Educational Accountability Act. And one of my questions was about how does that impact ESDs, and as board members, what exactly are our responsibilities around that? They gave us some really nice handouts, and I could share those out, Dina. I could send them to you and maybe send them out to the board. And then the other part was they looked at school law, and I thought that was really, really interesting. They discussed ethics as well as some immigration things that's happening. And I think some of this information is gonna pertinent to our board as well, because, and I had shared this with Jason, because they also mentioned that there are some policies that need to be put in place before the beginning of the school year. So that was really useful information for me, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to attend those.
Thank you so much, and we would love to see the documents that you got with your training.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll share mine. I attended the Pride, here in Albany, and it was really fun. I saw Nancy and some of the LBL folks there. I got a picture taken with my kitty cat, because I saw her, in her backpack. Don't worry, she was in her backpack. She wasn't roaming around. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really love, seeing that we were there. I think that really highlights our commitment to being out in community and having the community learn more about us, and also us supporting the community. And so I really enjoyed seeing that, and really just being around other people and really being inclusive and everybody just honoring themselves. So I was really happy to see us there. So it was a fun event. If some of you went or are planning to go next year, I highly recommend it. It truly is an awesome experience.
My comment is we need to meet your cat sometime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's your cat's name?
Her name is Frigatito. She's a Pokemon, and in her backpack has her name. And so people in the world like, oh, is that a Pokemon? I'm like, yeah, I gotta catch them all. Oh man, I was like, I say that all the time. Nintendo, please. But yeah, she's my Pokemon.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
No report for me.
None for me as well. Okay, now we will move on. Sorry, Lori, do you have anything to share?
No.
I just want to make sure that I'm tracking. Now we'll move on to the consent agenda. If anyone has questions or comments on the consent agenda.
I do. I may have already asked this, but it was page 25, where it talked about the last thing, that mandatory training. And this is for board meeting procedures, in case your packet has a different number. The mandatory training, every member of the board shall attend or view a training on public meetings law. And I'm not familiar with that.
Well, sit back, kick your feet up. You got a good hearty training coming your way. Yeah, if I remember right, it's once per term that you have to go through a Oregon Ethics Commission approved public meetings law training, of which
Okay.
OSA is an authorized trainer. The Ethics Commission themselves obviously can do their own training, but I'm sure our fine staff can forward you the information if you've yet to have.
And I could clarify, so we actually host that OSBA training, and so we'll let you know, Lori, when that's coming up. So we hosted that this last year, and any board member that hadn't attended in their term yet was able to come. So
Okay.
we'll make it accessible and make it work for
And I
you.
have a question about that, because I attended the summer school last year and they said this qualifies you for that training. And I don't know if that gets passed on to our record somewhere.
We don't keep records.
It does.
But they.
Yeah,
They do not.
they don't. That it's a little bit like any ethics. It's an honor thing that
Okay.
if there's an issue, you're gonna need to produce, that, hey, I did this. But yeah, it's like we're not keeping a record of it.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
The advice,
The one.
the advice I got was take a picture
Yes.
of the completed screen in the room and hang on to that.
Yeah, or if they give you a certificate or anything like that.
I didn't get,
Yeah.
They do, and I think
make
right
sure.
now, it's just OSBA, they're giving these badges, or something like that, for trainings you attend, so.
That should do it, but Taylor,
Oh, I chest full of bad days.
Tyra, you have Taylor into the room, so we're ready for the.
So Lloyd, you're still good to go because you're still within your term, and we'll let you know when because I attended one that was held here at LBL, and when we have one of those scheduled in the near future, we'll give you a heads up.
We can actually share the
Oh.
video link for training. That
Oh, perfect. So you can
guys-
do it by video also?
Mhm.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you for that.
I do have a question
Great.
on mandatory trainings. I'm not sure if this is where it needs to be. What about mandatory reporting? We are mandatory reporters, so do we also have that training?
That's
That's in safe space.
Mhm. Should that be something that should be listed here too? As a
I
mandatory
believe that's
training?
in a different policy. We'll clarify.
It was in there somewhere because I read it in some other
Yes.
policy.
It might be in one of the ones that's coming before us today, because I know that I read it in preparation for this meeting.
Yes, it's probably, yeah, we can look it through and see.
Yeah.
We'll double check that.
Thank you.
It was like board member responsibilities. Isn't there one like that?
I think it's one that's coming.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Authority and responsibilities. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually in the second reading. It's number 5.
Oh, okay.
It's the second reading. So you saw it last month,
Mhm.
but it's coming up.
Yeah, it's policy BBAA, one of the ones that we decided to have a second reading of.
Yep, we'll cover that after we do the executive session.
The only thing I think I'd call out is board policy BD. And seeing it is a reminder that we're supposed to have an email disclaimer in your signature line, which I don't, and so we'll make sure that I copy and paste directly from the policy. It says in italics exactly what our email disclaimer should be, but just pointing that out, that if you don't have it, I think it's our responsibility to add that to our emails.
Yeah, that's
In our
that's a
signature.
good reminder.
That is the exact same thought I had
Yeah.
reading that, so yes. Yes, it's a good idea, and the wording is right in there in the policy, so we can just copy and paste and have it on our emails automatically as a reminder.
I saw that, excuse me, I saw that earlier when I went through the packet, but when he said BBII, I don't see a BBII.
Oh, no, I'm sorry if it was a tech thing. It's board policy B as in boy, D as in dog.
Under board meeting, you have pages 20 through 25.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good
Thank
question. Well,
Yeah.
BDI, yeah.
And if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those against say no. Okay. Consent agenda has been unanimously approved. And then next up, we are going to recess into executive session per ORS 192.660 sub 2 sub H to consult with counsel concerning current or possible litigation.